so much for tuning into Self-Taught today. I'm your host, Becky Onyango, and I'm very excited that you are able to tune in today. So today we're going to delve more into how to go through getting the German student visa. Of course, after going through the whole application process in order to attain a admission in a German university, obviously the next step would be obtaining a visa. Now, for those of you who don't know what a visa is, this is essentially a document that would legally allow you to enter the country, the intended country of destination. So in this case, would be Germany. So typically this document would be glued or stamped in your passport. Now, the three main steps that you would need to consider while embarking into the visa application process would be first, getting the documentation right. Second, of course, the application steps. And third, the interview preparation process. Now, just to look at the documentation process, what are some of the basic documents that you would need for the visa application? Of course, the first one would be a valid passport. Normally, it should be at least 2 to 5 years validity. That means the expiry date from the time of application should be at least 2 or 3 years from that time. Of course, the longer it is for Kenyans who, it would be around 10 years. Nigerians would be 5 years. But of course, the longer the validity it is, the better. Then another documentation that you would need to also have is your school leaving certificates or your degree, depending if you have a bachelor's degree or master's, and whatever you're going to study, just have your school certification with you. And then depending on also the language of instruction for the intended course of study, you would need to have a certification that you're fluent in that language of instruction. So in this case, if your course is going to be taught in English, then having like a TOEFL or IELTS certification would be necessary. But if it's in German, then of course A1, A2 or B1 level from the Goethe Institute would also be necessary. Then the fourth documentation that you should also look into is proof of financial means. So in this case, you can either provide a blocked account detail, a affidavit of support from a sponsor, or also proof of scholarship. Then also another documentation would be student health insurance. Now you can get a local health insurance from your country, and then of course that would be essential for you to apply for the visa. But then of course upon arrival in Germany, then you would look for a local insurance that could cover your student health insurance while you're in the country. Then of course another documentation, you need to fill out the visa application form. And then in some cases, depending on which immigration officer that you would be dealing with, you might need to provide a certificate of good conduct from your local police department just to show that you're a law-abiding citizen. Then final but not least would be a motivation letter just to show why you intend to study in Germany. Just show that you have some interest in coming to study in Germany. So now, when it comes to the visa application step, the most important thing is, of course, double check what you need to get an admission. Once you do get your admission approved and you have it physically with you or, via email that you've gotten your admission approved, then you can go ahead and apply for an appointment at the German embassy. So you can find this information on your local German embassy consulate in your home country. And at least you should apply for the appointment like 3 months or 6 months before the start of your semester, just to, give you ample time for preparation. Then the next thing would be make sure that, you have all your documents that you would need for the visa appointment. So apart from just the basic documentation, also make sure that you fill out the visa application form correctly and pay up the visa application fee. So the fee would be dependent on your home country. Yeah. Then do your research on some of the plausible questions that they would ask you during the interview. This is also important just for you to be well prepared for the interview. Then also the fifth step would be on the day of the appointment, ensure that, you're well prepared, come early, have the email confirmation for the appointment to show that you do have an appointment on that day. And then finally, the next step would be, after you've gone through the interview and you've submitted all your documents and you're waiting for the approval, you can also start doing some research on what to expect when you arrive in Germany. So look into accommodation, the issue about registration, and then also finally have in mind that upon arrival in Germany, you will need to go and apply for a permanent residence. Normally, the visa that is issued is only valid for 3 months. Then upon arrival in Germany, you'll convert that into a residence permit, which would be as valid as long as your course duration. So if your master's degree is for 2 years, the residence permit will be valid for 2 years. If it's a bachelor's degree for 4 years, then it will be for 4 years. Yeah. Now, the next step would be preparation for the visa interview. This is the most important step of it all. Now, usually getting a German student visa is considerably a bit more straightforward as compared to other countries like the US and Canada. So I could say it's possibly easier. But of course, if you have all the required documentation and you're well prepared for the interview, then there's nothing really stopping you from getting the visa. But of course, also ensure that you're mentally and physically ready to avoid any last minute anxiety. So as mentioned earlier, Germans are very, very particular when it comes to time. They keep time. So ensure that you arrive on time. Of course, when you're coming to the German embassy or the consulate, you're already in their territory. So do as they do. Arrive on time. I would advise get there at least 1 hour before. So, you can just have enough time to be ready. Then also, depending on who you find at the entrance, you might be asked to show proof that you do have an appointment on that particular day. So it's best to print out the email confirmation of your appointment beforehand so you can present this upon arrival. This would, just make everything smooth for you. Then, when you're having your Zen moment, just calming down as you're waiting for the interview, just go through everything, be mentally ready, and also make sure that you are physically, presentable. So be looking sharp. So when the time comes for you to, go for your visa interview, the first thing they would ask probably for the documents. Now, one tip would be, just be a bit organized. So usually on the visa application form, they would list a list of documents, the ones that you would need, as I mentioned before, like your passport and all that. Try to arrange them according to the list. So if the first thing was the passport, the second thing was the form, the third thing was the certificate, arrange them according to that order. So that, when the immigration officer is asking you, okay, where's your passport? You already have it. Whatever, you have it, as opposed to, when they're all scattered and you're like, oh, trying to look. So, they're standing over there looking at you like, okay, we are waiting. So it's kind of a good show when they already see that you're well prepared. That's a point, Punkt, yeah, in German. That's a point for you. And so after they've, gone through the documentation and they've verified that everything is in order, now obviously the next thing would be to ask you just a few couple of questions to get a feeling of what kind of person you are since you're going to their country. Maybe the first thing they would ask you is, why do you want to study in Germany? Obviously, you need to be very passionate about it. Say, you've done much of your research. Germany is one of the countries that offers quality education. Just talk about it and just kind of show off the information that you have about the country. That would really impress them. And then also, they might ask you some basic questions, which to you might be obvious, but they'd ask you what is the name of the university that you want to go to. Now, if that is a dumbfounding question and you're just standing over there like you trying to remember the name of the university, that is totally not a good look. So definitely know the name of your university at heart, know the name of the courses, how many modules you're going to probably take during the course duration, and also know the name of some of the professors that would be in your course, and also have some general knowledge about the countries. So like, who's the vice chancellor of Germany, you know, and also some questions like, do you have a family member, and all that. So just do a bit of research on some of the possible questions. Very simple, direct, but you have to exude some level of confidence to show that you really do want this, right? So the most important part of the interview would be to show that your finances are okay. And normally this can be proven in 3 ways. So the first way would be the evidence of recipients of scholarship. So like in my case, I received a fully sponsored scholarship. So you need to present documentation on that. So in this case, it was a private business school, and the total fee was 25,000 euros. So I had to show that the invoice is covered and the amount of fee that I need to pay is 0 in this case, right? And then also in terms of the upkeep, so they had to show that the stipend that I'll be receiving every month is 1,000 euro. So that means you don't have to, work or everything. Your stipend is already covered. And then in regards to the flights, also it was covered. So it was a return ticket back and forth. So the flight for going, and then 2 years later, upon graduation, the flight for coming back. So that was also covered. I had to present that. The second way you can also provide proof of finances would be a German blocked account, either through Fintiba or Deutsche Bank. This is essentially information to show that you have a certain amount of money in a German account. This money is not the school fee. No, this is just money for your upkeep. And normally you have access to this money every month, and it's around 800 to 900 euro per month. Yeah. So this is just to ensure that while you're in Germany, you're able to fend for yourself. So you need to transfer this amount of money before you go into Germany, before you travel to Germany, and you need to present this evidence that you already have this amount of the funds already blocked in the account in Germany. Then the third way of proving finances would also be a letter of affidavit of support from a sponsor. So ideally, in this case, you have a sponsor who would state that they are willing to support you financially as a student while you're living in Germany. And they can also provide financial status on their end, like maybe bank statement and whatever assets that they own. And they need to notarize this by, say, magistrate or lawyer or whichever. That's something that would show that it's legal. So once you're able to show the letter of affidavit from a sponsor, normally, ideally, this sponsor should accompany you in the visa interview. However, if they're not able to be there physically, they can also provide a letter of absence, to show why they cannot attend the interview with you. Otherwise, that is pretty much it for today. I'm very happy that you are able to take your time to look into this. If you do have any questions, just feel free to contact me. The contact details are below. You'll see my email address, the WhatsApp. And until next time, stay safe and stay learned and take care. Bye.